My name is Lisa, and I just wanted to do a little update about my situation and my healing journey. I'm doing a lot better actually, and I think that, I'm pretty sure that this is related to me having stable housing finally. After a couple of months of living in stable housing, I started to feel a huge pain reduction from just my awful suffering. Um, I found a place really far away from civilization, so it's out in the forest in Sweden, and it's a studio. It's perfect. It's cheap and high quality housing in Sweden because of it being so cold. We have to build well, and it being so cheap makes it very stable. There's a very low risk of losing it, and having affordable housing is just so key. And now there's not a lot of other things out here as far as jobs or opportunities and so on, but I felt that the first step was to get myself into stable housing. And I learned this actually from Alice Miller. She talks a lot about healing the practical and how important that is to healing from trauma. And it was true. When I was homeless, I had to hustle every moment. So I was very much in a fight or flight place in myself. So I can't say just how incredibly important, or I can't stress enough how important it's been to have stable housing again. Basically, I don't feel like the skin is being pulled off of my body anymore like I felt before. And I'd say that the pain went from being constantly on a 10 to being at least constantly on an 8 or so. Um, and then the interesting thing was that the pain would come and go. It would be up and down. Whereas before I felt that it was always the same. It was just torture constantly. And then there was really nothing that I could do to ease my pain. And with having housing, I felt that the pain automatically would go sometimes up for a couple of hours and then down again. And it was so nice to get that relief of it going up and down at least sometimes. And I talked about this before. I think that the only thing that could have given me any pain reduction would have been to sedate me, fully sleeping sedated, and that has a lot of negative side effects to it, so it wasn't a good option. So I definitely don't feel like I'm a zombie anymore, and that's really important. And I feel a huge relief just from this. And I know that the cluster B personality disordered individuals, they often will target their target's financial ground. So homelessness obviously will follow quickly after that. So it's a very effective weapon to destroy their victim. So, if we don't see it coming, we're in huge danger, because once you lose your financial stability, it's very hard to do anything to protect yourself. So basically, I've thought about all of the different tools that the narcissist uses to attack their targets. Their aim is to cause chaos and stress. And I definitely felt that way. And when my financial situation was destroyed and my housing situation was destroyed, it's complete chaos and stress. So then at that point, it was just very easy for him to just put in the last kind of kill on me, and I was devastated. So for me to have the time to rest up in an area where there's no chaos and no stress, that has been really healing for me. And I think that the narcs intuitively know this, so they do everything they can to prevent us from getting that, the rest, peace, and no chaos. I can really say it's made me a lot stronger, a lot healthier, just a lot happier, and more functional in every way. So yeah, healing the practical is the basis. And I've talked about it before, but when I was living in Malmö, I was living in different Airbnbs and so on. I was refused to start EMDR treatment because of the basis that I was homeless. So they were saying, well, you cannot start EMDR because you can very easily get worse from it. You have to have your housing sorted out. So that's when I said, okay, I'm going to just do whatever I can to do that, which means just moving into the forest, because there's a housing crisis everywhere in Sweden right now. So recently then, so about 2 weeks ago, I started EMDR. So I've only done 3 sessions or so. But the EMDR for me has been incredibly effective, and also probably because I do have stable housing, so I could take on the positive effects of it. So my pain levels have gone from, I would say, 9 when they would go up, they would top on 9, to never going above 4. Incredible. So I'm very impressed with the EMDR. So both stable housing, healing the practical, and then EMDR has been really, really great for me. Now, I'm still far, far away from healed. My main problem is that I am only attracted still to cluster B personality disordered men, and this has to be healed, and it's going to take some time, I'm sure, if it's possible. And I'm not sure if it's possible, but I'm going to have to go through that road. My road definitely is, I choose healing every time, because I keep meeting men that are available to me, and they keep being narcissists or sociopaths, and it's because they're the only ones that I pick to be interested in, and it's very frustrating. But every time I say no to them, and I say no, I'm going to go the path of health, healing, and sanity. You know, a friend of mine, she was also exposed to this kind of abuse, and at one point she stood and she was so depressed, she felt that she had to count all the leaves in a tree in order to feel better. And I was just recently at a date, and I felt like I was going to go crazy after this date, and I just said to myself, I will not count the leaves on this tree. I won't do it. I'm going to choose sanity. And sanity, after a date, you shouldn't feel like you want to count leaves. You know, you should feel good. You shouldn't feel devastated. So, and that's also something I learned from, I think it's called Thrive After Abuse. The key is not what a covert narcissist, it's nothing to do what they say to you. It's how they make you feel. And after this date, I called a friend and I said, you know, I finished my date and I feel physically like I'm going to throw up and I want to cry. And I was like, I don't have to say anything more. I don't have to say anything more about how that date went, because that summarized it. And that is my understanding that is not how you're supposed to feel. But I think that it's thanks to the EMDR that I could feel that. Because I probably felt that way after the first couple of dates with my last boyfriend too, but I didn't feel it. I wasn't aware of it. And I'm fully aware of it now, which is such a good protection. And I had a therapist said, like, feel your feelings and then act accordingly. And so if you can't feel your feelings, how are you going to act accordingly? You know, you have to be able to feel your feelings. It's a huge protection. And I'm also very aware of how the narcissists, they're not aware of their own rage towards their parents. Usually the mother, and usually I become the symbol for their mother. This is what I believe, and it's based upon also Alice Miller. She believes that the narcissist actually is really angry with their mother, and that they're getting their revenge on the mother through these women that they're torturing and lying to and deceiving. And I definitely feel that. And I'm aware of my stuff. And the only thing I can do then is to try to heal from that. Because currently I'm enabling the narcissists. Well, actually, I'm not currently, because I'm not in a relationship with anyone. But if I were to go into a relationship with a narcissist, I would just enable him to continue being a narcissist. So I'm definitely as much part of the problem. But the difference is that I have an awareness, so I can choose to heal. And that's what I choose every time, over and over. I think that, you know, I was listening to Spartan Life Coach. He was talking about spirituality. He does a lot. And Hinduism is one of the things he talked about. In Hinduism, suffering is related to being attached to materialism and to pleasure and so on. And I've been thinking a lot about that and how I can try to incorporate just walking a spiritual path, because I think that has to be part of the healing. Because I believe that my ex actually was possessed also on some sort of level. And I think that possession is something that it's a symbol. It's a symbol of something, you know. I think he was also just a childhood trauma survivor, but who knows what is what, you know. So I had a conversation with a Catholic priest about demonic attacks, and he was saying that the best protection is to live a Christian life. And I think that was really wise, and I think it's really interesting that there is some sort of protection in there, and there's a reason that we have certain rules that we live by. And I try to think also how am I driven by my search and attachment towards pleasure and materialism. And yeah, I mean, obviously I'm trying to run away from my pain, because when I am in a relationship with a narcissist, I do feel like life gets color again. And when I'm not, it feels definitely black and white. So there's still that aspect of being codependent and having PTSD. But there's also something to, you know, having a healthy relationship, that in itself that's also living a Christian life. So it's interesting, and I do think that walking a spiritual path is part of the healing process. I think we all know that things are very crazy in the world in general, and I think that, you know, I've heard from several places that the best protection is to be spiritually prepared. And I don't know what that is. I don't have a religion. I don't have faith. But I'm seeking, and I think it is definitely part of my process. And it may not be for anyone else, but I think it is for me. I think there's a certain strength that I see in people that have a faith. And I think that, yeah, if it's possible to find a higher power, that would be it would be empowering, I think. So I just have to keep trying, but definitely just wanted to give that update. Things are going really well. Love EMDR. I love having stable housing, and I'll hopefully be able to heal my attraction towards this sociopaths and cluster B personality disorder men, and hopefully I will be able to reach that point, and I'll keep you posted. Thank you. Bye.